Welcome back to the Brick Abbey. This is going to be part 2 organization of the Mandalorian bust, another great Lego Star Wars set. We're going to jump right in. We're doing these a little bit differently than we have in the past. We sort of grouped them by color first, and now I'm going to do the organization. Now we are trying to keep these vids just a little bit shorter than we were in the past. And we'll see how that pans out, because I don't actually know how quickly I can organize the sets when I'm kind of aiming for 15 minutes. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. Hope you have enjoyed the other sets we've done. Be sure to check them out. They all kind of fall into the same kind of vibe and feel of what I'm doing right now, which is just kind of talking, moving the pieces around where I need them or want them, and then we're going to organize these by their size. And so right now I'm just trying to give myself just a slight bit of organization so I can get the pieces where I want them. Okay, so that's going to be that size, and that's going to be slightly bigger, because then when we go to build, it's just really, really nice. It tends to go really fast when you kind of know where everything is, and I find that to be a really enjoyable way to do these sets. If you've not seen my other content here, this was born out of my wife. She is way more attention to detail and organized than I am, and she was watching me build a Lego set, and she was like, "What are you doing?" It's kind of like when you watch someone type and they're hunting and pecking because they have no idea how to type. It was kind of like that. I was just kind of hunting and pecking, and I was looking for all of the pieces instead of having them organized. She's like, organize them by color. She's like, so you at least know where they are. And so that, funny enough, kind of led to the birth of this channel. And if you know the story, you know that I did a TIE fighter, and I did that, and I thought it looked cool. So I took some pictures and showed it to my stream. My gaming stream, and my producer's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "That's content." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Bro," he's like, Legos are huge on YouTube. So if you like it, you should be making content with it. That's usually the best content, is people that are doing something, interacting with something that they enjoy. And so here we are. This is gonna be, it'd be great if the sets came kind of organized. They do it by bag, which I think makes perfectly good sense, because most people, that's what they're gonna do, right? They're gonna go in the order of the bags, and that's gonna be how they do it. You open up bag 1, do everything it tells you. Open up bag 2, do everything it tells you, and then so forth and so forth. So I think we're ready to start committing some pieces to the pattern up here, and we will see how long this takes us. I'm not confident in being able to do this quickly, because it's never really been about speed. It's just been more about like enjoying talking and doing something that's relaxing. I get to kind of come down here at the end of the day when it's quiet in the house. Kids are currently, like at this very moment, they're reading books and kind of they're calming down for the day as well. And we all kind of have our thing that we're doing at the end of the day. And if we do it this way, we may end up with we may end up with multiple organization videos, and then we'll obviously have to see what the feedback and response there is. You know, is that something that people are going to want to consume? I guess it's not much different than me putting the piece together. So the question would be, is it satisfying content? We have so many little gray pieces in here. This is going to get interesting. A lot of little L shapes, a lot of little 2 shapes. Okay. Get all these out of the way. We got a lot of 3x2s over here. And then you have these little wingtip guys that they use for building out the various shapes. Okay, so I think we can kind of slide those 3x's in, and we can bring these guys over. These are the long and skinnies. I don't really typically call them by their size and dimensions. That's like not a thing that I do. But sometimes I do, because I'm like trying to figure out like what I need. And I'm like, oh, that's a 2x or a 1x or whatever. Buy this. This reminds me of when I was doing the Slytherin crest, just sort of grabbing and not looking the various pieces that you might need. Are we still in frame? Just barely. I tell you what, I'm going to do a shuffle. See if we can get that in frame. Okay, that's in frame. I'm kind of having to crane my neck a little bit. We got to make sure we have space. That way we're not wasting space. This is typically when you things slow down a bit for the organization. We got all these 3x's, 3x2s, and I want to make sure we get the rest of these. I got to make sure I don't do that again. My sweater got caught on the edge. There's like a foam. It's like art foam on the table. I just thought it looked nice. It has like a nice feel to it. And I just caught it with my sweater, and it kind of flipped up, and I was like, uh-oh, if there are pieces close to the edge and I do that, we're going to end up with a mess on our hands. Like the time is one of my Yoda videos. If you go back and watch the Yoda series, my kiddos got me the Yoda, and it didn't perform very well. So I'm not going to scold anybody, but my kids got me that as a present, and I was really excited to build it and tell them about it. And man, y'all did not like that set. So they're cute though. I used some of their minifigs for some of the shorts. They'd be like, how'd my Spider-Man do? How'd this do? So that was really exciting, because the shorts kind of crushed. Because short form content's like really, really easy to consume. So the shorts did really well. So I was always really excited to tell them like how their shorts performed. You know, that was always fun. I'm not going to tell them about the Yoda set. They're dying to do videos with me, because we can do it, right? It's just their hands. Like, there wouldn't be actual children in the content. That gets a little dicey on YouTube, because they got to be careful with that, you know? And I think that's good. I'm glad that that's a thing. But because of that, you know, obviously it would just be their hands. And man, they're just pestering me about it. They're like, when can we do a video? When can we do a video? And I said, listen, we get 1,000 subscribers and the channel's monetized. I said, I think maybe we'll celebrate. I'll do a short video with each of you, and then maybe we can make that something that, you know, at certain milestones on the channel, we'll celebrate with a kiddo vid. And they'll, oh my gosh, they will love that. They're going to have a really hard time having self-control. We had a lesson today in self-control. They've been fighting a lot, and so we've been working on that. Don't fight. If you need, if your brother or your sister is messing with you, we will help. Just say something, like, rather than hitting or yelling or whatever, like, ask for help. That's a better response. And so sure enough, today they weren't fighting, but they were being so rambunctious that my wife was like, "We're just gonna go home. I don't want to do the grocery store with you guys right now." I guess they were being, they were getting along, but not in the way you want them to. They'll team up on you. Kids will team up on you. They're not evil. Well, they're evil. They are. Kids are evil. But they're also amazing and great, and we love them, and have to feed them and all of that. But anyways, the lesson was self-control, because I said, listen. So I wrote self-control on the dry erase board. We have a dry erase board. They use it for school. I wrote self-control. Underneath of it, I wrote no fighting. Right? I put a check mark next to it. I said, great, you did that. I'm proud of you. Thank you so much for not fighting. I said, but then right here, and we had to think of a term to use. I was like, what term are we going to use? Because it's like, yes, being calm and not acting so rambunctious that your mama can't even go to the grocery store. That is self-control, but that's kind of generic, right? We're trying to put multiple things under self-control. So I came up with appropriate energy level. I said, you have to have an appropriate energy level for what's going on. I said, when you guys are in the library or when you're in Sunday school at church, I was like, are you running around screaming? And they're like, well, no. I was like, okay, but when you go to the park or you're playing in the backyard, is it okay for you to run around and scream? They're like, well, yeah. I said, okay, there you go. You understand appropriate energy level. That's a form of self-control. I said, so when you're in the car, you're in a closed space or a parking lot or the grocery store, you need to have an appropriate level of energy. So that way everyone can enjoy being around you. So you guys are screaming and yelling in the car. I was like, that's terrible. Nobody wants to be around that. No one wants to be in a closed space with you acting like a knucklehead, So it was cool to see, their little brains clicking and seeing that, while it's great and just awesome that you guys weren't fighting, it's just self-control is more than just that. It's more than just the negative, right? That's a negative. We did not fight. Okay. Well, in a positive way, you need to be, exercising the appropriate amount of energy level for whatever the situation is, because every situation is different, and kids are perceptive, right? You just tell them to be quiet in the library, and they spend a little time in the library, and that's it. You don't have to tell them, hey, by the way, in addition to being quiet in the library, don't run around, scream, and slap each other, right? Don't suddenly start playing freeze tag in the library. You don't have to tell them that, because they just sort of pick up on it, And so helping them tune into that, right? Helping them tune into those realities, I think, is important, because then they're going to be a better friend and a better student, and they're not going to be that idiot in the grocery store who has no self-awareness, and he's in his mid-20s and nobody wants to tell him, but somebody needs to tell him. And even if you do tell him, he's going to think you're wrong because he's been that way his whole life. Nobody had the stones to set him right. Well, we were wanting these videos to stay right around 15 minutes because we think that's just better. They don't get too long. But what that means is that we did not finish organization. This is going to be a very, very different series, honestly, because we're going to have multiple parts to the organization. But I tell you what, it's an opportunity for you guys to provide that feedback and let us know, Is this just as, enjoyable and vibeable? That's not a word. I made it a word, though. Vibeable. Is this just as consumable, enjoyable, all those words, as when we just sort of did it all in one swing? Because I enjoyed this. I enjoyed our conversation. I hope you did. But I think that's going to be it, because we've got our section over here. We got a good chunk done. There's a little spot down there I want to put some stuff. I guess we'll figure that out maybe in the next video. These are all of a certain type, and I don't want to shove them down there. And there's another 3. And then there's another 3. So that'll fit in there. So see, we have all the same type in that area. Now we have all these little 2s and a couple more of these L's. It's kind of addicting because you kind of want to have like a clean break. At least I do. I want to have a clean break. Okay, so those are all 2s and 1s. And then, wow, there's a lot. There's a lot of pieces to organize. So, hey, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoy the organization and just hanging with me. We will see you in the next episode of The Brick Abbey. Hit subscribe and all those buttons. Thanks so much.